Hey, Paul, how you doing? Oh, yeah, boom. Can you hear me, Paul? Okay, Michael and Paul. Okay. Anyway, glad that you guys can make it tonight. I had a rough afternoon with the streaming because it was buffering too much. I guess it was the rain or the weather or whatever, but man, it's just very discouraging. Anyway, we have the PDFs, the new ones. You should keep these all in order, like the permutations first. Now, this is linear concept part 2, A2. Now, what I did with this one, if you have the permutations, I permutated everything from 1 eanda to 4 eanda. This time I'm taking the 1 of the E, and I'm taking the grid. Now, what I think by luck this was, I think I come into a gold mine of endless funk patterns. To be honest with you, I have some stock in Dramamine, the company, because this stuff can make you very, very dizzy. Not only playing it, but writing it. It's insane. So, tonight and tomorrow night, Wednesday night, we're going to work on part 2, A1 and A2. Okay? Now, just a little advice here, because I'm going to try next week to do the same thing with the permutations, but I'm going to use, instead of the grid, I'm going to use the Bayonne pattern. And the week after, maybe see how that goes. And the week after, maybe the clave. So it's going to be very interesting and very endless. A lot of hard work. And, the only thing I could say to you is the one word: slow. That's how it's going to work. When you go through the pain of getting these down, you're going to be one hell of a funky player. Now, we're just taking the math. We're not taking the musicality right now. The musicality, I will write a bass line out, and we'll work from the bass line. So we have about 2 years of endless lessons with me not repeating it at 8:30. And it's a lot of work, man. It's not, you guys and me practicing, but writing this stuff is insane. You talk about getting dizzy. Wow. Okay, so let's hit Linear Concepts Part 2, A2. Now, if you look at the sticking pattern is actually from the original sticking pattern. This is starting on the E. And what I did, 1, 2, 3, 4, is take it from the E of the sticking pattern, and I did the grid. I started the number 1 on 1, number 2 on the E, number 3 on the and number 4 on the da. Now, there's a couple other guys in here, and nobody's coming into the chat. I don't know why. We're drummers, and we're not shy. So enter this, if you don't like me, that's okay. If you're mad at me, we had an argument, that's okay. It's all forgiven. This is a different day. All right, anybody here having problems from the last lesson? Yes, no? Any problems? I'm listening. No problems. Okay. Anyway, you have to be on top of these just about every day for these to grow. It's like I said, I use that you know, watering the lawn or watering the grass seed. If you don't water it, don't grow. It's the same thing with this. You don't practice, it's not going to go anywhere. Okay, so let's take the first guide. Number 1, this is Linear Concepts Part 2. Of course it's slow, all right? But this is Part 2, the first one. The sticking pattern, that's from the E of the original sticking pattern. And they're going to progress all the way to the E of the Da of 4 when I complete this whole series. Every day, Paul, even if it's going through twice each one, just so that you're in tune with it. You skip a day, you're going to say, what did I do last time? You know, even if the thing is to do it slow. 1, E, and. There's a couple ways I would recommend, okay? And it is difficult. It is difficult. I would recommend getting into this. If I start number 1, I look at it and I say, okay, I'm not going to use the metronome until later, but right now, this is what I would recommend. You're going to count the 16th notes and you're going to count them staccato. I would hit 1 E and 2 and continually to count until you come back to the 1 and add the 2 E and then to the 3. Leave the 4 E and just count and back until you get it down. Now you make a mistake, stop and start from the beginning. All right, number one, nice and slow. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and now that's slow. Let me put the metronome on 60. Again, each tick is going to be a count. And also, you know, because I don't want to overwhelm you, but if I give you a lot of this stuff, you're going to be in tune to it. But we're going to take a break here and there, and we'll go on to something else so that, you know, it's not all you're learning. We'll go back to the jazz, we'll go do some Latin and some reading and so on and so forth. Okay? So here we go. At 60, each tick is a count. Come on. We can hear the tick. 1, E, and the, E, play, E, 1, E, and the, 2, E, and the, 3, E, and the, 4, E, and the, 1, E, and the, 2, E, and the, 3, E, and the, 4, E, and the. Now, okay, I'm going to put the timer on. Remember Mr. Timer? Well, Paul, you're used to hard work. Here's the timer. I'm going to set my timer to a minute, and I'm going to do that again at 60. Or you want me to go a little faster, maybe 72? But we're going to keep the tick or the click as the count. And I told you the reasoning behind that. Sometimes you'll get a ghost note, sometimes you hit it too hard, you'll miss an accent. So next time around, you're going to nail it. You agree with that, or you want me to go a little faster, use it as the quarter note? It's pretty tough that way. All right, I'm going to keep it at 60, each tick a count, and I'm going to do a minute. Number 1. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, zap. 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E. There you go. 1 minute. Now, that's at 60. And actually, you might think it's really slow because it is. But the slower you do it, it gives you more time to think, more time to control it, and the stronger you become. Okay, let's hit number 2. Any questions on 1? Gentlemen, any questions on 1? Oh, by the way, if you gentlemen have the PDFs, the afternoon lesson was, somebody's out again. The afternoon lesson was turnarounds part 2. And there's no drum set application. I'm going to build on that for my 1 o'clock lessons. Do you understand that? Now you're good on the number 1. Okay. Slow, Mike. The slower, the better. All right, let's do number 2 without the metronome first. I think Paul got booted. All right, we'll wait a second for Paul. Hey, Mike, how do you like the math to this? This is all permutations, computations, and probability. All the laws that you learn in school, basic math, all come into view now. I should have paid more attention. Okay, let's wait for Paul. He got booted. He's in Chicago. Okay, Paul, where are you? I will keep doing number 2, and when he comes in, we'll probably be on the metronome. All right, number 2. 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and 1, E, and 2. 3, E, and 4, E, and 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and Are you really? All right, we'll see what happens. I'm planning on doing that. If I do, would you come to my house, or you want me to meet you someplace, Mike? Like maybe Grand Central Station in New York City, or... Because I want to leave on a Wednesday. I have to call them and see what's going on. What do you want to do, Mike? Paul, you back? All right. We're on number 2 now. And Michael's going to give us, he's going to give me some information on himself here. But anyway, I don't know what Chromebook is. All this modern technology just drives me crazy. I'm dizzy enough and I don't need any more. So I'm going to do number 2 again. All right, number 2, I'm going to do again. But I'm going to do it without the metronome again. 1, E, play. E, 1, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and again, 1, E. All right, now I'm going to do it again with the metronome, number 2, and we'll up the tempo a little bit. Let's put it on 72 so I don't put you guys to sleep. Is 72 too fast? Be honest now, guys. I'm going to put it on 72. Each tick is a count. Here we go. 1, E. 72? Yeah. 1, E. Hold on. Come on, Mike. Oh, Jesus. Okay, here we go. Number 2. 1, E, and 2, E, and that's number 1. I'm sorry. Number 2. 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and now I'm going to put the metronome on, the timer on rather, for 1 minute. Here we go. This is the way you should be practicing them. I'm just demonstrating that. 1, play. 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and I made a mistake on the 4 because I got distracted with the timer, but that's okay. Now, do you agree with me about making these really slow, developing more control, and giving you time to adjust the volume of your voices? Now, if you work on these every day, that's 72. You can go to 120. And then when you get to 120, go to 140, 160. Then you're back to 40 with the quarter note after you're at 160. But it works. And Paul, you weren't here when I made the statement about I hit a gold mine with this thought or this approach with funk patterns using the stick control book and stickings, permutations, computations, and the laws of probability. It's all math. And like I said before, we're doing the math, we're doing the probability or the permutations or whatever you want to call this. And then up the road somewhere, I will write a baseline or a few different bass lines, and we'll start to hum these. All right, well, that's good, Mike, if you want to stay at 72. I mean, if you feel a little pressured at 72, you can move it back down a little bit until you get stronger. There's no rush. It's just that consistency and developing the control of the voices. Where there's a ghost note, make it a ghost note. Where there's an accent, plow it. The bass drum, explode it. Blend in the hi-hat, the foot, and the right hand, and so on and so forth. It's very, very important that you do that. You don't want to be playing this with, iffy voices. Okay? You understand, right, Paul? Good. All right, let's go to number 3. You think this is hard for you? This is harder for me because I'm looking at this. All right, let's do line 3. 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and now I'm going to put that. Hey, I never got your email, Danito. You want the PDFs? Again, here's my email. And before I go to the next one, or do this one for a minute, you gentlemen have the turnarounds part 2, correct? And you'll get that too, Danito. You couldn't find what? My email. You have to send me an email. You send me an email, you'll get the PDFs. Send me an email, and I'll send it to you, okay? I'll send you the one from this afternoon. Mike and Paul, the ones from this afternoon, the turnarounds part 2, did you guys get that? Because that's going to go into about a 10 series. Part 3, part 4, up to 10. There's a lot to that. And it makes some great hand exercises. And all right, well, you understand it, right, Mike? You understand it, Paul? The turnarounds, part 1 and part 2. I'm not going to do that now because I'm going to stay on the drum set. But I want to stay with the turnarounds for the 1 p.m. lessons. If you get a chance, you could always look at the video because it's going to be recorded. All right, let's go to, what are we on? Number 3 with the metronome at 60. At a minute. This is the way to practice it. No, that says 72. I'm sorry. Number 3. 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and 1, E, and 2, 3, E, and 4, E, and 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and 1, E, and 2, E, and there you go. Now that's not too bad. Hey, come on. So Paul, let's talk to you a minute, okay? Absolutely. You understand. We're going to get to that, Mike. Paul, let me tell you something. You know, I'm fortunate enough to be in my drum studio from the time I get up until the time I go to bed. I teach all day, I write, I fool around a little bit on Facebook, and I practice. I have to be honest, the last month or two, I've been doing a tremendous amount of yard work, so I've been neglecting my practice. But it's all done. Well, maybe one more week. But after that, it's practice, practice, practice. So get on top of this. The only way this is going to happen for you is to be consistent. Do it one time without the metronome for a little bit, 2 times, or 1 time with the metronome for a minute or 2. There's only 4 of these. And if you do them for 2 minutes, that's 8 minutes, man, of practice. So if you do a half hour a day on this stuff, you're on top of it. The more, obviously, the better. Okay? All right, let's go to number 4. Ugh. Now, these are coming out pretty good tonight. 1. And I'll just, before I close up, I'm going to, explain the biome, because that's next week's lesson. 3, E, and 4, E, and 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and Okay, let's put the metronome on. Let's move it up a little bit, okay, guys? I'm going to put it on 100. Now, I'm supposed to be some sort of example. I'm just putting it on 100 for the heck of it, but I would stay on it at 60, 70, 72, or whatever, until you feel good with it. You got enough balls, go to 100. Here we go. Each tick is a count. 1, keep. 2. 1, keep. Let me set the timer. 1 minute. 1, keep. One, E. Thank you. I did that on purpose. What's the good advice I gave? Well, that's what for your setup, Mike, that's what a turnaround's all about. Let me just briefly kind of go over what the biome is, or if you have books or dictionaries, or go on YouTube and listen to somebody do a biome. But it's a good pattern. It's not funky, but it comes from the Latin. I don't know exactly where, but I refer to it sometimes as a half of clave, the 3-2 clave. What it is if I do it in 16th note formation, I'm playing 1 eanda, 2 eanda, 3 eanda, 4 eanda. Here's the first part. It's on 1, E, and, da, 2, E, and, da, 3, E, and, da, 4, E, and, da. It's a good pattern. It's a really good pattern to jam off of or use as an ostinato. You got, here you go. 1. You got. And we're going to use that as where it falls on the permutations, whether it's the bass drum or if it's the hi-hat. And it's going to open up some more outrageous possibilities to be funky. So you're going to be going all over the place with this. And like I said, Paul, before, I bought some stock in Dramamine because this stuff will make you dizzy. Anyway, I'm thinking and really considering, I don't have really the time, but to put a whole book together on all these systems. I think it'd take off. I'm not sure, but that would be nice for me financially. Anyway, that's going to conclude the lesson until Wednesday afternoon, 1 p.m. I'm going to do the turnarounds part 2 at 1 p.m. One surface. Okay? And then we're going to stay on the Linear Concepts Part 2, A1 and A2. That's 8 things to do, guys. Work on them, work on them, work on them. And then once you get them right-handed, do them left-handed. Simple. There any questions, any problems? What's going on? If not, I'm going to close it up until Wednesday, 1 p.m. Well, I don't know if it's a great lesson, but you're welcome, Paul. I try to do my best, and I try to open up doors for my students. And hopefully they'll be very, very successful in their endeavors to become a better drummer. So, Danito, email me, and you will get the PDFs. You'll get them for the 1 p.m. lesson, and you get all of these that we're doing or where I'm taking it from. You're welcome, Mike. And tomorrow I'm going to be calling Zildjian to find out exactly if the tour is on Thursdays, if they changed it or because of the summer or I don't know. So let me find out, and we'll do a definite thing on that. Okay, Michael? In the meantime, gentlemen, have a good night.